Well, hello everyone. Welcome back. It's so good to see you here today. Today we're going to talk about some of my favorite progressive rock records and some of my favorite records of all time combined in one video. Nice little cup of coffee. First of all, we're going to start out with Jethro Tull. This is classic records, 4LP, one-sided records on Clarity vinyl at 45 RPM. This was classic records' attempt to make the best record possible with all the technology, all the information that they had to make the best record. This was their attempt to do it. And it came in this nice box. We'll go over a couple of the things on this. You have the little sticker in there of the Clarity vinyl. And it says it's a 200-gram record. Handmade super vinyl profile. Because this polymer, it doesn't flow properly in an automated press. They have to have a special press, and they have to do it by hand, which is manually, not automatically. They have to take special care to make these records. And we'll show the cover. Now it has a slight it's a pretty kind of lame attempt to do a pebble cover. I used to own this record, had this record, and it was on the Brown Reprise label that I got. It was an original press, and it had a beautiful pebble cover on it. Beautiful. Now this is kind of an attempt to do that, but they just got little slight, like they rolled it with something, and it got a little bit of a dent in it. It's very, very light texture. Kind of, I don't know what process you'd call it, but it's kind of a cheap process to me. It's not a beautiful pebble cover like the original was. Nothing in there. Okay, so what do we have in? What comes with the record is you get the insert. And I also have in here, because I did have the Japanese original of this record, which was on their Reprise label. And this insert, they do it like this. So I thought that was pretty cool, so I saved that. And then you have your records in here. One side is blank, and it has a strobe on the label. And the other side has the green chrysalis label on it. It came with this card inside from Classic Records. Win a free Classic Records test pressing. And then it says, I buy LPs, I buy video CDs. It wants to know what kind of media you're buying. And where do you buy them? If you buy them online or you buy it in a store. And it wants to know what kind of music you like. You know, they're canvassing their clientele to see what kind of records are popular with them, what they should make. Now, we're going to talk a little bit about their technology and why they made the records the way they do. Now, we know they made them at 45 RPM because that is the highest rate of record speed we have right now for quality to get them, extract the most information out. But what about this Clarity vinyl? Because this is something we're going to talk about here on the next couple records. The Clarity vinyl is comprised of the best polymer that's available, and it doesn't have any carbon black in it. because carbon black contains trace metals that can become magnetized over time and cause electrical distortions that can smear the sound. And Michael Fremer talked about this because he bought a demagnetizer for records. And I'm like, why do you need to demagnetize a piece of plastic? It makes absolutely no sense to me. And he said, I don't know why, but they sent this to me, and I used it because I played the record first, and then I played it after. And Michael has some of the best audio equipment out there because he reviews the high-end gear for a living. And he's able to really extract information out of there and pick up the nuances. And he said, boy, oh boy, I couldn't believe how much better it sounded after I demagnetized my record. Well, that still didn't make sense, but I trust Michael. But the thing was, now I understand what's happening. Is because over time, those metals that's in that carbon black, they become magnetized. Now, what do you have on your turntable? You have a magnetic pickup. It works with magnetism, either with coils or with magnets. And if you have electrical charges and magnetism on the record itself, it's going to confuse the signal. And so they used no carbon black. Now, carbon black has got a lot of good things in it, right? It helps to make records quieter, and it helps them to last longer because that carbon black's really slippery, and it helps the needle slide better inside, like a graphite, right? It helps lubricate the thing. So they took that out of there. That's part of the clarity vinyl, how that works. And this record now, when I got this, boy, this record, it sounded so fantastic. I heard so much better. Now, the one that I had before this was the 33 version, the Classic Records 33. And that was the champ. That had beat every other record that I had. And I had the DCC, and I had the first Japanese pressings, and I had the UK presses. I had all of them. And that 33 and the third Classic record was so good. Then I got the 45 years ago, got a good deal on it. It was still expensive, but I got a good deal on it. And fantastic, beautiful sounding record. Now, there's another couple things where we can talk about that in the next record. Okay, so that covers Jethro Tull Aqualung, which I think is one of the best progressive rock records of all time. And I remember, I think, this was on the radio starting in 71. Now, I think it was 71, it might have been 72. I was like 16 at the time. And I was over at my cousin's house, and she had Aqualung and she had Pink Floyd Metal. And I had heard some of the songs on the radio on FM, but I hadn't really sat down and listened to them. And we played those records, and they were just so great. So I fell in love with Aqualung and Pink Floyd Metal at that time. And so now, this is Chad's record because he's got the plates from those four-sided records, right? Because he bought Classic Records. So this is the UHQR. I'm going to open this up, too, to have a little look inside here. You get the record inside here. And this also has the insert, the one-sided insert, like the Classic Records had. But it's a double record, and it's got that same texture that the Classic Records record had. It's a cheap attempt at trying to make it, and it's actually got a number on the back here, 988. And I do notice on the top it's got two seam splits. I bought this record and I gave it to my son because I had the 4-sided version. And I don't think he's ever really looked at it too close, because I would have sent this back to Chad to get a new cover for it, because that was caused in shipping. Now he's shipped it as well, so I don't know. I can't blame Chad for it because I never inspected it. I gave it to him sealed for Christmas. So now we're going to talk about UHQR and Clarity Vinyl, because this is what Chad put in this record. Remember we talked about Clarity Vinyl? Classic Records has came up with that. So now Chad has patented that. He owns the name Clarity Vinyl. And UHQR, that was something that Mobile Fidelity pioneered back in the day. That was the ultimate high quality record that they made, and they made very small amounts of them. And they were like, I don't know if they were a one-step, but it was something like that, where they was the best record that you could, and they were really good. And now they're worth a ton of money, of course. So that's where those names come from, because those are names that audiophiles know. And so Chad took those names, and he's got the ownership of that now. So that's your UHQR. And what this UHQR is now, how he got the remastering done, or how he made the record, was he just took the plates that he had from the 4LP, and he used them on this, but he didn't use one-sided records. He did a regular 2-sided record, and he made the UHQR. One thing we didn't talk about was, why did they only do it on one side? Now, they did one-sided records because of the mechanical resonance that's created when the cartridge is passing through the vibration on the record. The record does have a little bit of a vibration into it. Like we talked about before, like if you take a piece of paper and you hum on it, you can feel the paper vibrating. Well, that record is actually vibrating because of the needle passing through the vibration on the record, and then it amplifies that. Well, those resonances, they have to get dissipated out of the record quickly. So they determined that if you have pressings on both sides, it slows down that transmission. So they wanted to do just that little bit extra, because hi-fi is all about a little bit here and a little bit there and a little bit stacked on top of each other, and at the end of the day it becomes a big thing when you do a lot of little small stuff. So they wanted to do the one-sided record, so to allow the resonance to be able to get through the record and into the platter quicker. That was their idea with the one-sided record. Okay, now we're going to speed up the process a little bit here. And the next record that I really love is Jethro Tull, A Passion Play. And inside this record, got some stuff, of course. This is a record that when you first play it, back in '74, I think, when it came out, it's kind of like, it's different. It's kind of like, I don't know, this is a concept album, and it plays from one side to the other. It's like one song all the way through, basically. And it's one of those records where back in the early days, I played it a few times and I put it away, and then years later I went back, not a lot of years later, probably 10 years later, I went back and I really started listening to this record, and then I made a tape of it and listened to it in the car, and I really fell in love with this record. It's one of my favorite Jethro Tull records. Such good musicianship on this. The guitar playing, Martin Barr's guitar is so good on here, and the songwriting is so good. Of course, the flute and all the other stuff is fantastic. One of my favorite records. And you do get this little book that comes in it, because it's supposed to be like you're going to a play. And so they've got, like if you go to a play, you get a little book and shows who the actors are and who's in the play. Right? It's a cool little thing. It's like they're little actors in the play, right? And then, of course, since it's a Japanese record, you get an insert. I can get a hold of it. Just Japanese writing on it. For this old record, well, there'd be no English. Because it is the original pressing. That's why it's got that big OB on there. Original press. And then I've got Thick as a Brick. This is a MoFi. A really good, another concept album from '73. Now originally this came, it was actually like a newspaper on both sides. And back in the day, this is when MoFi still used their white labels. And this again is a really, really good sounding record. It doesn't get on the turntable as much as it should. And we've got a little insert here from MoFi. Today's music, tomorrow's technology. So we'll put this back in here. And this, of course, another concept album. Really good. One of his better records. One that I truly love. Fantastic record by Jethro Tull. This is one of Jethro Tull's really early records. This is a second press on the UK press. Really, really beautiful UK press. And inside the record, I've got a little promo picture of the band from back in the day, of course. One of my favorite Jethro Tull records, this was. And now we've got one of his newer records. This is a 90s record, Catfish Rising. And for being a more modern, I say modern, I say it's 90s. It's a 2 LP set. It's not a gatefold. It's on this Chrysalis label. I think they started with this in the 80s. Can't remember exactly. And then you got some nice inner sleeves in here. Like I said, it is a 2 LP set. And it's a really, really good record. I haven't listened to this as much as I should either. Fantastic. Catfish Rising. And then this is the Steve Wilson remix. Just a nice plain cover on it. It is a gatefold. Let me see if we got anything in here. Just the record. Oh, I had this book in it. That's right. Jethro Tull Aqualung and Steve Wilson remix comes with a beautiful book. 40th anniversary LP edition. The Steve Wilson remix. I mean, it's worth it for the book. If you're a Jethro Tull aficionado. Yeah, this is still back in the day when you got a gold record and you got a pretty girl to give it to you. A lot of great old photos in here. Hope you're enjoying this book as much as I am looking at it. A lot of nice big, look at this big in the middle now. The centerfold for record collectors. We're halfway through. And now you've got This is what, of course, is the insert from most of the records, right? On Aqualung. Lots of liner notes. Now we're getting into. Still a few pictures in here, but nothing to talk about. That is really cool. That book in here. And I did a shootout. This record versus the 4LP. And I thought, of course, the 4LP was better, but it wasn't by a lot, folks. Steve Wilson, this is probably one of my, as far as Steve Wilson remixes of the Jethro Tull stuff, I think I bought 4 of them. The other 4 sucked. This one is really good. So if you want to get that UHQR sound, if you want to get that, just find this Steve Wilson remix. Now there is a couple songs where the bass, I think it's Lonesome, what's it, Long, Cross-Eyed Mary, that's what it is. Cross-Eyed Mary, the bass is kind of heavy in that song. It's a little too much on this. But hey, that's just my opinion on it, because I'm used to the other one that really doesn't have that much bass on it. So this record is really good if you're trying to find high-end sound, but you don't want to spend, you know, $300 or whatever it's going to cost to get these other records. That is fantastic. Then we have Jethro Tull Stand Up. And Kevin Gray has now remastered this at 45 RPM over at Coherent Audio. And now the original record, when you opened it up, it had the record, it popped up. So Chad did that, you know, because he's a record collector. And he wasn't going to make the record unless he could get the pop-up. And that did take some doing. He had and he's got that nice shiny Stoughton cover, beautiful. And I think they're like $60, and it's a 2LP. They're at 45 RPM at Kevin Gray at Coherent Audio. The record is amazing, amazing sounding. The original Canadian press I had, it was a Steamboat record label on Reprise, and this thing just, there's no, the other one didn't sound good, and this one sounds spectacular. My highest recommendation. And I took this out. This is this is Living in the Past. And this is a Japanese press of this, the original Japanese pressing. It doesn't have an OB strip on it, but it does have the insert. With the lyrics. Stuff on the back. And you can see the little R on there from Reprise. And it's got the attached book that's on the inside. And this thing is like stone mint. Very nice. Just a really beautiful record. Let us look at this for a second, because the records are inside these sleeves in here. And you can see how it's on the brown Reprise label. It's a Steamboat in the corner. And that orange R on there too. That makes a difference too. You can tell it's an OG. Hard to put these back in here. That's why I have them in the original Japan inner sleeve, because you can't put a quality record sleeve or anything in this record. Living in the Past. Really nice. And this has a really nice texture on it too. A beautiful textured cover on it. I don't know if you can see it in the camera, but anyway. Jethro Tull, Living in the Past. Now, another band. He made about 3 in the early 70s. Manfred made some fantastic progressive rock records. This is his LP Messin. Got a nice die cut cover where it opens up. And we'll show the back because it's a continuous picture on there. And this is on the spaceship label from the UK. A nice UK pressing. And this has got some really good songs on it. Again, I haven't played it lately, but I played a lot of this record when it came out. Really nice and great sounding record too. Really, really nice. And then my favorite Manfred Mann record, which is Solar Fire. Some of the best guitar playing, some of the best synthesizer, keyboards, great songwriting, just great songs on here. Father of Day, Father of Night, In the Beginning Darkness, Pluto the Dog, kind of a fun little song, Solar Fire, Mercury the Winged Messenger, Earth the Circle Part 1 and Earth the Circle Part 2. Fantastic stuff. And this is a Japanese first edition on the bronze label. This would have been on Mercury or something when it came out. I think I had bought the OG UK press when it came out. I went down to Opus and I was able to buy the original UK press. And I played the ever-loving heck out of that record. And then here I was able to get the OG Japanese pressing, and it sounded so much better. Love that record. One of my favorite records of all time. And then we're going to talk a little bit about, this is Jade Warrior. And this is the OG. This is the Swirl. We talked about the Swirl record just a little while ago. And I showed this record. This is the Swirl in the Shrink. Now, this is not a UK Swirl. This is a US Swirl. And just a gorgeous record and a fantastic sounding record. Again, this is Jade Warrior. This is The Last Autumn's Dream. Again, this has a lot of flute on it, a lot of great guitar. Let's see if we can see the yep, alto and concert flute, congas, percussion, a lot of congas and bongos and vocals, bass, acoustic guitar, electric guitar. And it's on Vertigo. Another Swirl. Really, really nice record. Hard to find in that condition. Really nice record. Again, probably the hardest one to find that is in nice condition like this because of that black cover. Right? Really hard to get this one in nice and beautiful condition. Jade Warrior. These guys are fantastic. Well, look at the cover. Look at the covers, right? They just got great taste. They know what they're... And some of these songs on here, again, they're all on the Swirl label. Some of the songs on these records, you're like, why wasn't this a hit on the radio? It's so good. People should have known about this. And I only came across this, I started listening to them in the early 80s when I found a couple of these at a record store in Winnipeg. Into the Music was the name of the store. It was over when it was on Osborne Street when he first opened it up. And I found a couple of those and I started to play them. I saw a Swirl because I knew about the Swirl label and I said, wow. I just took them home and listened to them. I fell in love with the records. And then the last band we're going to talk about, here's Yes. One of the best progressive rock bands out there. You know, Jethro Tull and Yes, probably my two favorites. And I have this. This is the Yes album. This is the Friday Music Box. You get a nice cover inside here. Nice, big, thick cover. And they put them on that kind of a facsimile of the OG plum label from Atlantic. So that's cool. I like that. And it's a double record because it's 45 RPM. This record is fantastic sounding. I was amazed at how good this record sounded. When I had this, I think I had the Rhino, Kevin Gray Rhino before this, and this smoked it. This is so much better. And then of course we have Close to the Edge, or I guess Fragile I should say, Ultra Disc one-step pressing by MoFi. I had to get this because, you know, this is one of my favorite records. And I got this and I compared it again to a Kevin Gray. That was a mastering he did at Acoustech. And this, I heard a lot more inner detail, a lot of more nuance to the music on the one step than I did on the Kevin Gray record he did at Coherent. You know, this is two records at 45, and the other one is a single record at 33. And then I have another Friday Music on a nice gatefold. Really nice vibrant color in there on this gatefold. A nice 180 gram press by Friday Music. And again, it's on the regular Atlantic label this time. They didn't try to go to the plum side, the plum label. And you did get the insert inside. And this is a half-speed master. And again, I think I had a Rhino, and I've had a lot of versions of this record, and this half-speed had a lot more definition, a lot more detail, just a better high-fidelity recording. So this was my go-to. Well, what did I get in the mail here the other day? Yeah. I got the new 75th anniversary records from Acoustic Sounds. It says mastered from the original analog tape or best available source by top mastering engineers, cut at 45 RPM on 180 gram vinyl. And Chad's not doing 200 gram records anymore. They just have the rejection rate, I think he said, was too high. And at 180 gram, they've got that mastered. Then they can have really good quality at 180 gram. So they're doing that. Now these records, now I was wondering, I was saying, what is that little round sticker? It says analog. Because Chad loves putting those on records, doesn't he? It's missing. Well, he's got mastered from the original analog tapes or best available source. Now, I do believe that they have the original master tapes for these. I think because there's like 75 odd records or whatever that they're putting out. And maybe not every single one they can have the original master tape. So they just made one generic sticker and stuck it on every record, which I think was a mistake. But anyway, it helps in their manufacturing process. It's just a hype sticker. Get the record, beautiful record on a nice gatefold cover. 2 LPs. Of course, you get some stuff on the inside. You get it's on the regular Atlantic label. And it does come with the book. I didn't look at the records yet. I haven't even played them. I just got them yesterday. I just unpacked them. This is the Acoustic Sound. We're going to go over this stuff when I'm going to do a review of these. I got Fragile, Close to the Edge, which does have a beautiful texture pebble cover. They know how to do the pebble cover now if Chad wants to. He's got, this is a gorgeous cover. This is the most beautiful cover, I think. And then they've got the Yes album, right? Now what he didn't do on these, on Fragile or the Yes album, he didn't put that nice shiny Stoughton cover. He did a Stoughton cover, but it doesn't have that extra treatment where it's got the gloss on it, which I think he should have done, like he did with Tea for the Tillerman, or even Stand Up got that treatment. But he's not doing it for these records. That extra $1 or whatever it takes to put that cover out, he couldn't do it apparently on those. So anyway, that's going to conclude today's video of some of my favorite progressive rock records. I hope you enjoyed the video, and thanks so much for watching, and bye-bye folks. Bye for now.